to see now Be'ez Hashem Yisborach Daf Mem Vov Maseches Peah Yerushalmi. We're starting with Halacha Gimel. Ein megalgalem b'tofuyach. Tofuyach means a special kind of device that you use to fill up the field with water. You're not allowed to do that to your field, Divrei Meir. Why? Because you're ruining the Leket and the Shikhcha that the poor man it's there in the field and he's supposed to pick it, and now you're putting water on it, you're ruining it. They say it's impossible. You need to put water on your field, if not it's going to dry up, and it's not a benefit. So you're doing it for an important thing. That's why you can do it. He makes wet his field before the poor man had a chance to go. If his damage will be more than the ani. So let's say the ani has their value of $20. But if he does not do it, he's going to lose $100. And he's allowed to do it. However, if the ani has their value of $100 and you only have $20, then you cannot do it. Doesn't matter. You just take all the leket and the Shikhcha, you put it on the fence, and the oni takes it on his own, so that nothing gets damaged. It says there, when it comes to thinning out, he's allowed to thin out even the things that belongs to the aniyim. For example, a grape cluster that doesn't have a katav or a nativ really belongs for the ani. But if he wants to thin out, he doesn't have to worry about it. He can take away from the aniyim also. And here he says that you have to be worried you can have to take it and put it on the fence. There, they should have come. Here, we're talking that you're doing it before they come, so you didn't give him a chance. Here they say you are allowed to pour water, and there they say by the maidel that you're not allowed to thin out. Just the opposite svara. What's the chum svara? Talmud efsha. Here, this is impossible. You need to give this field water. So I don't have to be matrich myself to save the ani. I have to do what I have to do. But there, who asked you to thin out? Just take away the clusters that you want to thin out. Don't take away the clusters of the that belong to the poor. But the question is, what is really a difference between Rabbi and Chachamim? Rabbi and Chachamim both agree that you have to pay the poor man. Rabbi says, so what happens? So the poor man has to pay the owner for his damage. Chachamim say you are allowed to, and the owner has to pay the poor man. So both agree that everybody gets paid for his damage. It's a question, who has to run after whom? That's the question. According to a mayor, the owner has to run after the aniyim. And according to the chachamim, no. The aniyim should go be teveya the balabayas. Balabayas show over mimokim lamokim etzarach little like a chikro peah Maaser Ani. As he's traveling, he needs to collect matas aniyim. He doesn't have the bare minimum to survive. When he comes back to his town, he should pay back whatever he took. He should give it back for the kupas tzedakah, for the charity box. No, when he took it, he was really a poor man. He was traveling. He had nothing else to eat to survive. That was his sustenance, so he doesn't have to return it. What does it mean? Very natural thing. He exchanged his grain with the Ani's grain. So the Aniyim gave him, what the Aniyim gave him is potter. So what he got is potter, because he ended up getting stuff that's potter. Whatever the Aniyim get, they end up to be chayiv because they got stuff that's table. The halacha is the owner cannot take Maaser Ani for himself. He has to give it for somebody. So there's two people, Reuven and Shimon, are both they're both arisim, means they're getting a certain percent of a field. Now, whatever they get, they have to take off the matonas, take off Maaser, Truma, Maaser Ani. They're both poor people, so they have a simple trick. They cannot keep the Maaser Ani for themselves, but they could give it for each other. So Reuven gives for Shimon, Shimon gives for Reuven. That's an eitzah that they shouldn't have to worry about Maaser Ani. They exchange. Also Leket Shikhcha Maaser Ani. So the one that is makabel, he gets a certain percent, cannot keep the Maaser Ani for himself. Now obviously it means the part that he gets, because before the two people are sharecroppers, so each one can give for the other one. We're talking here, he gets a certain percent, so he gets 25%. So he cannot, so Leket Shikhcha for sure he cannot take. That means he has ownership in this field, he cannot take it. But Maaser Ani means that the grain that he gets, he has to give away for Maaser Ani for somebody else. But the grain that the owner gets, he can give him Maaser Ani. That's not a problem. Or maybe the aim is to have man shekibel a man in lechta shishravia. Aval im amalei shlish mashani kaitz shalacha. Whatever third that third mitzvah like Shikhcha Peah v'asam Maaser Ani. It's a different type of deal. And while he's cutting, he's not owning anything. He's not owning any part of the field. The deal is, after you finish cutting, I'm going to pay you with a third of the crop. So since the Leket Shikhcha Peah is a thing that's chal b'shas cutting, so then he has a right to take, because he's not an owner in any kind of manner. He's just like a worker here, so he can take Leket Shikhcha Peah. However, also Maaser Ani again means Maaser Ani that he gets a certain amount of grain. He cannot keep that Maaser Ani for himself. He cannot keep it because he has to give it to somebody else. Tony, we learned in a brayse, Av v'noi ish kroi, a father and a son, shnei achim, shnei shutafim, poidem zeh lezeh Maaser Sheni, v'noisen zeh lezeh Maaser Ani. So it's considered two separate entities. It's a trick, but it's a good trick that you're not considered like it's one big thing. I'm giving for you, you're giving for me. And the guy by the din of Choimish also, it's not the same entity. So if each one wants to redeem, he doesn't have to pay a fifth. He can buy from his shutuf the Maaser Sheni for the price. He buys it, and it doesn't have to add a Choimish. Rabbi Yehuda, Tove me'eira mi she'noisen over Maaser Ani. Amruloi ma ilu hoi shnei maniyim. It's not a nice thing to do. Now you say a father and a son, the son is not gives for the father Maaser Ani, no problem, but it's not a nice thing. But how about if the son is also Ani, then it's not so bad. Now we'll go back to our Mishnah. Ma beina lekad ma'isa. The Mishnah says a difference, the gabe, if the person that shares a certain part in this field is allowed to collect, is allowed to take Leket Shikhcha Peah. So what's the difference? That's the difference. If he says after you finish cutting, a third is yours, it means when he did the ketzira, he was not a partner. That's why he can take like a Shikhcha Peah. And da Omer Shamoiche Zoche Bepeah Shemeteres Samoyre. It's a question. So we had this before. If a person sells his field in the middle of cutting and then the Leket gives Peah, the question is the Moicher is allowed to take from that Peah that's matter his bundles that he cut already. So here also, so we say here that since when he didn't own anything only after the Ktsira, that's why he can take Peah. And there also, the Moicher can take the Peah because when he finished cutting the field, he does not own anything anymore in this field. That's what can be pushed from this mission. Or is it Barabun? No, it's not a good raya. Tamon is chayvus adei b'shusay. Ram Hochan is chayvus adei b'shusay. It means we had this before already that it's not there. It's worse. That story in that case of the Moicher, when he starts the Ktsira, he still owns everything. So we can say that the Chiyuv Peah begins the beginning of the Ktsira, and then it's his field, so he cannot take Peah. But here, in this case, is much better. The guy has no connection with this field until everything is cut already, and that's why the Mishnah says he could take like a Shikhcha Peah. But also by Maaser Ani. It says now in Mishnah, the last part of the Mishnah, that even in this case where a guy gets his part after he finished cutting, so we say he can take like a Shikhcha Peah, but he cannot keep the Maaser Ani. Means he can take like a Shikhcha Peah because that's just a matter that it stays in the field and he takes it and he didn't own anything. He can't keep it. He can't keep it. He has to give it. He can't separate Maaser Ani from his grain and keep it for himself. It's difficult what he wants to explain here, because when we learn the Mishnah, it seems quite a simple reason. But the Gemara uses this language Ba'ziva in a different context somewhere else. So maybe it's a Gav Urch of that context. The Gemara uses it in Dorm, Yerushalmi, the Gav the Din that is no din is seen if somebody's mother or not, he can take like a Shikhcha Peah. Shenki Maaser Ani isn't seen, so uses it the Gav Urch. Hamoicha Sadei, Hamoicha Mutter al Kei Chaser. So the Moicha sells his field. The Moicha can take like a Shikhcha Peah. And a simple case means he sells it before he started cutting. He sells right when the grain was there. It was commerce, everything was still commerce. He sold it, so then the Moicha can pick like a Shikhcha Peah. Lo yizkar adam as a poel amanashi Leket b'noi achraf. A guy hires a worker. He says, I'm giving you a special benefit, and obviously because of that he pays the worker less. He says, I'm giving you a benefit, your son can go right after you and pick everything that you drop, and that's your benefit. And Mamela, he is making money out of the matnas aniyim, because that's why he pays much less for the poil, because he gets a special benefit. Basically he's selling matnas aniyim. He's getting the value of work for that. Somebody who doesn't allow totally, or he just allows certain people, he's considered like he's stealing from that niyam. It means in this context the ones that are yerdim, It's Lashon Saganor. Do not take away the boundaries of the Aniyim. He sold it to him while it wasn't Bekoim. It should be this with a base, Bekoim Masai. When the grain was standing, how about if a guy, the owner, does not sell him the whole thing? He says, you have the right to cut the grain, but I get the guf hakarka. Shiel is soda. The guf hakarka, it still belongs to the owner. So both of them cannot take the Leket Peah. The owner, he says, it's your soda. You still own the land. You have no right to take it. And the one that cuts it cannot take it either, because he's the one that's cutting it. So nobody, you have to leave it over for other people, the Leket Peah, not the owner, neither the owner nor the worker, the buyer can benefit from the Leket Peah. Also Cain is got Saniya. But Abayasha is a Cain is got Saniya. Poil is a Cain as goes to Balabayas Ulaniya. If the Poil hires he takes his son without permission of the Balabayas, he's stealing from the owner and from Baniyam. Because why is he stealing from the Balabayas? Because the Balabayas never agreed to such a deal, I guess. He didn't tell him, you can take your son here. What does it mean? This goes in the Sefer. If the guy is not letting certain people pick. Interesting, pshat. Because the Torah, Hashem gave them the Torah, and it says in the Torah you should not do it, so you're going against what they instituted. It means aniyim. Just like you call for a blind person, he has a lot of light. So oilim here is a euphemism for poor people. It says in Yeshayahu, one of the tzedakahs that a person does, he brings the very poor people in the house. It says the word Tavi, boys. So if you bring this, it's like you bring Bukurim to the Beis HaMikdash. Should be Balabayas. The owner did not forget about it. He's standing there on the side and he's watching. He says, "Ooh, this bundle was forgotten. I didn't forget about it." Or vice versa. The owner somehow didn't realize there's something there, and the workers did realize. Or another case that the poor men are standing, they're blocking it, or it got covered with straw. Shikhcha. All these things are not considered. They don't have a din of Shikhcha, and the owner could return and take it. It says the one that cuts it. What do you see from that? Means the one that cuts has to forget. Here it's Ketzir Cha, it's you own it, you did not forget about it. Even people, donkey drivers that pass by, this is a bigger chiddush even. If even one person in the world knows about it, it's not Shikhcha. Okay, we finished now Daf 46 and 47. 46 and 47.